Hey, this is Eureka Aunty. Hey, y'all. Hey, this is Shar. Welcome to my channel. Welcome. Hello, everybody. We are here to do a quick recap, not long. I think I'm going to squeeze all of this in like one long video. So we'll see how long we're going to go. Episode number 5, season 3, A Reasonable Doubt. Not a lot going on this particular episode. It was all right. I mean, they started talking about the trial. I guess they picked all the jurors that they needed, honey. And it's day one. You see everybody fussing outside, got signs in their hands, free Ozzy. He on that fuck, all this stuff. Don't nobody like him. Then you got people who are there for the victim, Wendy's ass. So she mean as fuck. So we see everybody getting ready for court. We see Monica Hope, old ass, fucking that boy. I'm so disappointed. Oh my god. Anyway, she helping him get ready. He's a little bit tense. She slipped something up on his tongue, to keep him calm and every damn thing. So while they're getting ready, everybody's, getting themselves together. We see um Kristen, who is Ozzy's sister, keep getting this phone call from fuck no. We don't know who fuck no is, but she keeps ignoring that shit. So while they're walking in the courtroom, you can see that it keep going on. Fuck no keeps calling. So while Chad, the prosecutor, is talking to the jury, Ozzy is sitting there, while flashbacks of that whole argument was going through his head with damn Wendy that night of that last argument. So we noticed that also Daniel, he noticed that fuck no was like on her phone a lot too. So on Kristen's phone. So Jax gets up and she has her statement. Chad is trying to make sure that he confuses the jury, gets Ozzy upset, but he maintains his cool. He sits there and listens to all that shit. Jack gets up and she starts to question and talks about how his reputation is of an actor. He's an actor, is what he does, not who he is. One thing he's not is a murderer. She says if acting was a crime, honey, we all would be in jail, which is true. Which is so true. She also tells a story, yeah, that the night of Wendy and his argument that after she left, that his car never left the house. It stayed in there. The GPS was not even didn't even leave his house. It stayed there forever, and he was there high. He was passed the fuck out. So next, that's just to prove that his ass wasn't near the cabin. That's his alibi, and it's gonna stick to it. And let's see what else happened. I'm looking at my notes. Jax finally talks with him about Monica. Oh, stinking ass. She asks him, was he with Monica the night of Wendy's death? He says no. And he tells Jax that he don't want his parents to find out. Of course he don't want his mom and dad to find out he fucking that old ass lady. So while Dan and Kristen are looking for the Disney Plus passwords, because what they're trying to do is prove that he was still at the house looking at TV. So he's trying to log in because he don't normally know that shit. Kristen said she normally keeps all his logins and stuff herself. So child, so they trying to, find the login passwords and stuff. That's sad that he don't know no passwords. He don't know. I mean, shit, I don't even know my children's phone number by heart. I got to look that shit up. But anyway, um, Daniel, he sees that fuck no has called like 5 or 6 times, and she keeps ignoring it. So he keep asking her like, okay, I guess fuck no is somebody you ain't fucking with. So what's the tea? What's going on with him? So she grabs him and kisses his ass as a distraction. So yeah, so after that scene, we see Mama Lou in the park walking with her 3 friends. Jax got her three friends, so Mama Lou got her friends. So Jax meets her, in the park, like, Mama, can I talk to you? I mean, of course, for my anything for our little girl. She's talking to Jax, but she's trying to, big up in front of her friends, trying to, be all girly and my child is better than y'all type of bullshit. So, Mama, I want to know. Jack says, I want to know. Did you tell Eddie that he can come to my house? Like, why the fuck are you spilling all my tea to Eddie? Mama Lou was like, I don't understand. That's your daddy. I mean, why the fuck you got a problem with that? Because Jax had told her, like, look, because Lewis went over there to confront Eddie about, him trying to talk to the kids. And so Mama Lou was like, bitch, no, he didn't. Lewis didn't go over there to talk to Eddie about that. Jax is like, what you mean? What did he talk about? She said, oh, remember you told me it was none of my business, honey? Well, guess what? It is none of my business. And she left. Well, we found out that fuck no on Kristen's phone is Alex ass. Remember, this the same dude that Ozzy has been trying to call since the show started. I'm like, damn. Now he finally comes over to talk to Kristen. He wanted some money so he could skip town. He asking them motherfuckers for $100,000 so he can shut the fuck up or leave. Kristen was like, "Girl, we can't give you that much money that quick, without them. We sending up red flags and people trying to figure out why we sending all this money to your ass. So no, we'll try to get you the money, but not right now, nigga. Not right now." So next we see Lewis meet up with Daniel because he thinks that Eddie is kind of like, going back on the drugs. So he asked Daniel for some trackers. So Daniel showed him some stuff on Amazon that he can get some trackers for Eddie's car. All right, back to the courthouse. We see the neighbor where the footage of Ozzy and Wendy fussing outside. Where we see the neighbor on stand talking about what he was hearing all this fussing. So when he looked outside, because he said it was his app told him it was some motion going on outside. That's when he saw Ozzy and her fussing. Have you ever seen them fussing before? Yeah, about taking out the trash and stuff, but nothing like crazy like the other night. So yeah. So his sourpuss ex, one of Ozzy's sourpuss exes, takes the stand, honey, and she's like, she has a restraining order against him and all this other bullshit. But we find out that he had an order against her ass, and she's the day that he took out the order, child. She was over there. She broke it. She wasn't supposed to go see his ass, but she did it anyway. She was kind of mad about that part. Like, girl, if you take out an order on him, you forgot to mention that he took out one on your ass. She looks so sour. I guess she was the girlfriend right before he started dating Wendy. So they really did a little bit of a, talk with her to find out, I guess he had yoked her up one day and that's what caused her to want to do that. They had a toxic relationship. So of course he stepped the fuck away from her. Anyway, that night, Autumn and Jax have dinner and they talk about the Ozzy and Monica situation because of course Autumn had that counseling session with him, in the last episode. So Autumn suggests like, okay, you don't want to ask him specifically about his drug addictions because again he ain't talking to you. So have you talked to your dad? He used to be a drug addict, and Jackson's like, nah, I ain't talked to that nigga. Girl, you need to talk to him. He might give you more insight on what the fuck's going on. So the other ladies come. We have Chanel and Sally. They joined them, and we found out that Autumn is like 5 months pregnant. I'm like, damn, I didn't know that much had went by. Much time it went by. So remember, Sally had told Jax that her and Chris was fucking. Well, they actually are separated, but they never told the kids. The only person that knows that him, and her are still fucking is Jax. So later on, they were still kind of sour with each other because they had called each other, hoes and everything. I was like, damn, y'all is friends, y'all sure? Well, later on, Jax had apologized to Sally and they talked about making up. And she said, like, look, if Chris is good for you, get back with the nigga. If not, divorce his ass, but stop leaning and rock with it with him. Just get your ass out of there or work it out. But because me and Lewis went through the same bullshit, so if y'all can do it, do it. But if not, divorce his ass. So Jax finally goes see Pappy Eddie, honey. So she asks him, she didn't tell him she was coming by. He was like, "Wow, I'm surprised." She says, "Look, Daddy, Eddie, you can't be coming over to my house unannounced." He said, just like you did. She was like, touche. So he was like, not a problem. What do you need? So she asks him about his addictions. He was like, look, I'm an open book. She asked him how did he get started. He's like any person started. First it starts with a cigarette. He said with in the entertainment industry, drugs is all around. Start from a cigarette, then move to this, that before you know it, new needles. So she asked him who was his enabler. He said it could be anybody. It could be his bandmates. It could be some friends. It could be some groupies. It could be your agents. He was like, agents. He was like, yeah, the enablers, they want to keep you more broken than whole. They like to keep you that way because they can control you that way. I was like, damn, you really laid a bar there for us, Ed. So while she's there at the hotel, Eddie's staying at the hotel. While he's there at the hotel, and she's there, we see Lewis pulls up. I'm surprised he didn't see her car. Anyway, pulls up, put the tracker on Eddie's car, and while he's trying to get back to his car, he sees Jax comes out, gives her father a hug, and then he leaves. So he's looking at her, being upset. He's real pissed at her. I was like, "Ooh, what?" See, hopefully y'all tell each other, what y'all been doing, because we can't have these secrets going on no more. But that's strange how when she saw him at the hotel that time coming out from Tony now, um, he sees her coming out the hotel from, I mean, the hospital for Tony's situation. Now he's looking at her doing the same thing regarding her father. So I thought that that was really interesting. Okay, so Alex's ass, the fuck no nigga. He goes after, of course, the girl Kristen and them couldn't give him the money, so he goes to the prosecutor, Chad, the one with the wavy hair, and says that he was there to talk about Ozzy, but he wants some type of protection. So after that, we run into Daniel and Crystal, and he's asking Crystal for her help. He was trying to give, he has some gift giving advice. She needed to give him some gift giving advice. And so she was like, is this about the next door neighbor that you was talking about? He was like, oh yeah, her. He was like, she's like, just do whatever, it don't matter. So she's like, whatever, you so nice and stuff. He was like, look, don't get it twisted now. I was known as the Cape Town Casanova. She's like, yeah, right. Crystal said, yeah, right. She's like, tell me what the most nastiest shit you did. So whatever he did, child, he whispered in Crystal's ear and she was shook. And now, she's a lesbian. She has a whole wife. But whatever it was, he was like, and he took his two baby fingers and rubbed them together. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. So she was like, ooh, ooh. She's like, let me wake out of that. Because she acted like she wanted to try Daniel. All right, we're back in court. And we see Wendy's assistant there, the black girl. And so they asked her, what did you remember seeing how Ozzy and Wendy's relationship was? Oh, he was all right. They fussed a little bit, but whatever. But she said this particular time it's not like Wendy to miss the Vanity Fair shoot. That's not like her. She never does that. So that's when she called Ozzy to find out if he had heard from her. He was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. He said he didn't know and he didn't give a fuck. He just didn't care at all. So Jax comes back and cross-examines her and says, girl, wasn't it like Wendy how she would just leave town all the time, whenever she get pissed with everybody? It's like, yeah, that was her, that's what that bitch did all the time. We also find out that Wendy's assistant might have been a little bit, jealous of, not really jealous, but she really wanted to model herself like Wendy. So right after Wendy's death, maybe like 3 days later, she was emailing Wendy's customers saying like, it's my company now, honey, and so yeah, I'm gonna take over. So they thought that was real damn weird. So yeah, it sounds like to me she was more than just jealous of that bitch. She wanted to have her company. So yeah, that reasonable doubt is always there. Anyway, we see Lewis next day, with the tracking on Eddie's car. We see Eddie get out the car with some dude over in the ghetto projects, and so Lewis is acting like he's Inspector Gadget taking pictures of this whole apartment shit that Eddie went to. We don't know what it was about. It looks suspicious. It looks like he might be back on drugs, but you just never know. So right after that court case, we see Jax in the parking garage, and so she sees Monica, whole stinking ass, getting out the parking garage, right? And so some guy, whoever it was speeding out that damn parking garage so quick. So Jax is like, I want to know what the fuck was going on with you and damn Ozzy. And so Monica goes to this whole Martin Luther King speech about how she's protecting him from all those little hoes and bitches and skanks out there who want to get pregnant by him, who wants his money. Look, I'm just protecting him. So she gave all this speech, and Jax is like, stay the fuck away from Ozzy, all right? Just stay the fuck away from him because you got him into some fucking trouble. She said it was enough that you wanted to kill Wendy. And she's like, oh, you think I killed her? Yes, you did. I feel like she did too. So yeah, they went through that little bullshit conversation. So next we see Lewis. He meets with Daniel, and because he says, I think that Eddie has relapsed. So he asked Daniel for his help. So I guess Daniel said, look, I don't do shit for free. This ain't slavery. So Lewis was like, I understand. It sounds like you learned that from my wife. Whatever the price is you need for me to pay you to keep an eye on Eddie, I'll pay it. Whatever it is. I was like, that's cool, Lewis. You're a man of your word. Don't pay it. Don't, you got that raise now, nigga. Don't be using all that, spending all that like money on Daniel trying to trap Eddie, and you found out Eddie ain't doing nothing wrong. All right, so we see Chris, which is Sally's husband, at a looks like a hotel room. He's looking at what's the name of that damn show? The Shy. When the little boy was a little thicker, I think he lost a lot of weight. The fat boy from The Shy. Anyway, Chanel goes over there to talk to Chris, which is Sally's estranged husband. So they have a little conversation. Chanel was like, "Look, I know I ran. Remember Chanel when she was in jail and she skipped town because Sally and her cousins, and Sally pretty much put her house up on bail for her, and they wound up losing the house. So Chanel's like, look, I know I fucked up and I'm sorry. He was like, look, you just don't understand. Chris was like, you don't fucking understand. I'm the first one in my family that's ever been able to own a home. Do you know how embarrassing that shit was? So Chanel was like, look, if you're that pissed with her, just walk away from her. If that's what you want, stop holding on to her. If you are that pissed with her, you know that this shit won't work out. Just leave her the fuck alone. Just please leave her alone. All right, so we're back with Chad. Chad is the prosecutor. He reaches out to the Hispanic dude that has been, the prosecutor against Jax in the past. And so they show Alex as the secret weapon, witness that they want to use because they wanted to adjust the witness list because he just was added the day before. So Mike was like, look, I can tell you some stuff, but the only way you can be able to get next to Jax is that you got to reach that emotional side. But when she's in court, bitch, no, you ain't gonna break that bitch. No, she gonna bulldoze you that instead of you bulldozing her. So you better make sure you got your shit together before you go in this court case talking to this bitch about what's going on with them. So they wound up, getting the list and they found out about Alex. They wound up doing all their research, Jackson, everybody. So they make sure that their asses were gonna be ready the time they got to go to court. So Jax and Brian find out that Alex was with him the night that she disappeared. They confront Alex. They confront Ozzy about that shit, and he said, "Yeah, I called him. He got me some candy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I was passed the fuck out." But Alex tells the lawyer that they were both went together to the cabin that night, the night that Wendy was off. So yeah, that's real strange that Ozzy said he had some candy, he went to sleep, but Alex says something completely different. So we found out that Alex played the older brother on My Cousin Them on the show, but Alex is like a washed up town ass actor. He ain't acting about 10 years, so he had to figure out a way that he was going to take care of himself, his family, so he started his own quote unquote business. He's a business owner, as he's saying. And while he's up there talking, Ozzy wrote a note to Jackson saying he fucking lying. He is fucking lying. He claims that him and Ozzy drove up to the cabin. He saw Ozzy get into an argument with Wendy. He was looking through the window of the cabin, and he got back in his car, honey. He drove home. So I'm like, okay, that don't sound right. But anyway, yeah, he owns his own business. So Jax was asking him, so what kind of business you do? Like, you slaying? He was like, yeah. So that means you give it some to, old boy, to Ozzy. He was like, yeah, yeah, I've seen him high. I've seen him really high. So that night he was real high. Yeah, he's real, real high. So you know him well. Yeah, he said, I've seen Ozzy on set do a whole fucking recording show and nobody ever knew that nigga was high. So after Jax keeps, pressing him and pressing him, um, I guess Chad, the lawyer, did not know about Alex's past because what what Jax did was like, do you tell me what this is? He said that's his rap sheet. He got a fucking long ass rap sheet. Try to come up there with a suit and tie, trying to act like he all legit, but he had a rap sheet. And I guess Chad never knew about that. He just took him at his word and brought him up there because after they was over questioning Alex's ass, Chad goes to his office and doing all this fucking scream. Ah, ah! I'm like, calm the fuck down. That's me. You should have had your assistant do your research for you, Chad. You poor thing. So the next scene we see Sally meeting up with Chris and they just fucked earlier and she's getting up trying to leave because she said she had a late night that she had to do for her job. He was like, oh, okay. He says, I've been thinking I want us to, maybe do have Thanksgiving a little different this year. So I'm gonna let you come on over, to my mama house for Thanksgiving. She's like, oh, okay. What changed? He said, I've been just thinking about some stuff and, working through some stuff. She's like, oh, okay, well, here. So she gave him some divorce papers. He was like, a divorce? She was like, yeah, I finally made up my mind on what I want to fucking do. I don't want to be married to your ass no more. So we're getting close to the end. Daniel is over there with Kristen. And so he asks him about Alex. Like, who's that? Who's this nigga? What's the tea? And he keeps asking her all these questions about him. And of course, she knows how to seduce him. That's what Ozzy told her. She always seduces niggas and then drop him like a hot potato. So that's what she did. So, remember earlier Daniel said he got some tricks. And so whatever them tricks was, baby, he used it on her because she was gone. So while he over there munching on her, literally, we see that Jax is calling him. And so she leave him a message and say, yo, where the fuck you at? He says, She says, I need for you to look up an alibi to find out where Monica was the night of Wendy's murder. So we see Ozzy calling Monica. He's like, "Look, I need to talk to somebody about what the fuck's going on with this court case." And so he was talking, 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 and so said, "What the fuck is you doing?" I don't know if he was FaceTiming her or something. So you see this big ass fire that she's throwing some paperwork in and stuff. And so he was like, "What the fuck you doing, bitch?" She's like, "I'm protecting your ass." And that was the end of episode number 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this uploaded and try to get as much as I can because everybody's, talking about how the finale was, and I need to watch that finale this week. So let me go on and get this uploaded, and I will see y'all in the next video. Thank you. Bye.